My name is Bill. There's a quote by Francis Bacon. I'll read it to you. Read, not to contradict or confute, nor to believe in or take for granted, nor to find talk or discourse, but to weigh and consider. That quote has stuck with me for a long time now. I have lived with it, considered it, expanded on it in many times, even shared it with a lot of people. It means a lot. It means a lot. My life is partly formed from that one quote. There's so much more he said, but that one thing affected me the most. And something Peter the Great said as well, but that's another story. I've made a point to learn the best I can, and in learning what I've learned, to live a life, a good life, I hope, functional life. From my own experience, I prefer an immaterial life. I am feeling a need to share the things I've learned. And if you saw my first video, my introduction, if you will, I have decided to share a few more things. And this is what I would call my index video. I am going to have a total of 11 videos I'm going to put out, and each one will cover a certain idea or topic. And I'm going to give you a general synopsis of what they are, so that you might be, I don't know, inclined to pick one of them or none of them. For all I know, you may not even see that I have anything to offer you. I probably don't. You probably know all this already. But I will just give you a brief description. The first one was the intro. On the intro, I just told people who I was. I shared my thoughts and experiences, or the experiences I think are beneficial. I basically tried to present myself as the person that I am, the fool that I am, which I am, a big fool. The second one, which is what you're listening to right now, is an index. Simple. Tells you, just like a book index, I'm going to tell you about the different things I'm going to talk about. And if you decide to pick any one of them, that's great. If not, have a good life. Go on, find someone else that might be able to help you. The third one is the real core of what I've learned. I call it foundation. The foundation is a simple word. Everybody knows what a foundation is. You build stuff on it. You build houses on a foundation. You build a philosophy on a foundation. You build any concept or ideology on a foundation. When I talk about foundation, I simply mean closing my door. I simply mean the fact that all of our knowledge, everything we learn, is built on something. It's built on an idea. It's built on a concept. It's has a start. A lot of times this foundation is what we fall back on when reality starts to turn around on us. When reality starts to seem to not make sense and it just crashes around us. This foundation is basically the answer to existence, the answer to death, the answer to purpose. Why are we here? And that's what I'll talk about on that one particular section. It is what we all need. It's not an idea, it's something we believe, we hold true to. The fourth little section, or video I'm going to write, is about information. Information. Wow, it's a big word. We all have a certain idea about what information is, about what it isn't. Some people use it synonymously with knowledge, which I disagree, and you will find as much. But information is, well, just what we find out. It's not true, it's not false, it's not a fact, it's not a fiction. It's just information. It's up to us to find out for ourselves if it's true or if it's false. We get information all the time, many sources of information. And we need to be critical thinkers when it comes to how we filter this information. And that's generally what I'll talk about on that fourth video. On the fifth video, we'll talk about knowledge. This is really a subcategory of information. Knowledge is, to put it in the simplest way, what we experience, what we perceive with our senses. We can get information from somebody and say this person gave us information, and that's knowledge. But knowledge isn't true, but the fact that we got information from somebody makes it true. So this chapter, this video, if you will, the fifth one, is going to be mostly about me going into knowledge, going into what it is and what it isn't, at least as I see it. It's not to say that there are things out there that you believe are knowledge, isn't knowledge, but from my own opinion, my personal opinion, this is what I've learned and what I've applied. And it seems to work for me, and it may work for you. The combination of the fourth and fifth videos are basically, it's a filtering aspect of how you can take everything you've learned, everything you hear, you see, you smell, you touch, from every source, and you can take that and filter it properly in your head. In other words, you don't assume something is true because a professor tells you it's true. It's only information he's sharing with you, because he could be wrong. The sixth video is more of a continuation of the fourth and fifth one. I'm just going to talk about some aspects of comprehension, degrees of comprehension, and certainty and doubt. It's going to really focus on how we as human beings make the mistake of, how shall I put it, of assuming we understand things as completely as possible, when in reality we do not understand them as much as we could, because there is no roof, there is no limit to that. How we understand something, no matter how long we live, will be eclipsed by someone else in a later generation that will understand it a little bit more. Because we are finite beings, there is a limit to what we can do in our lives, how much time we can spend thinking and considering something. The aspect of doubt and certainty, well, that really is going to touch upon the idea that our senses are flawed, and we can be certain of certain things in the moment, but can we really be certain of something that happened 15 years ago, 10 years ago, a month ago? That's hard to say. My memory isn't perfect. Maybe yours is. The seventh video I'm going to make is sort of an odd one. It touches upon the idea of differences. The fact that human beings, everything around us is different from every other thing. Small ways and big ways. We all know this. We can look around a group of people and see different heights and skin tone and shapes and hair colors and skin textures and I don't know, whatever other differences you want to take note of. But we all have differences, visual differences, but there's more. There's internal differences, of course. Some people have better hearts, some people have better muscles, some people have better brains. And that being said, there's other, even still more differences. Even identical twins, if you look deep enough, there'll be differences. And we are all different. Our mental capacities will be different, our physical abilities will be different. And in turn, we have to learn that we're faulty, we are wrong, we are at fault for assuming that every person around us is more similar than different. They're not. They have similarities, but you can't ignore the differences. We have more differences than similarities. And that's really what it's about. The 8th video I'm going to do is about expectations. Degrees of expectations. I couldn't spend too much time saying anything to express what I'm going to say here. It's about how we interact with things and how we somehow expect certain outcomes and we do not get those outcomes, and how that affects the way we live and the way we act. It makes us angry, it makes us happy. If we expect good things and it happens, we're happy. If we expect good things and they don't happen, we get upset. That's generally what it'll be about. I went through about 4 stages of different expectations, and as a result, I've come to one final conclusion, which I will express on that particular video. Number 9, or the 9th video, I call it imperfect being, or being imperfect, however you might want to say it. It's going to be mostly touched upon about our flaws. We are flawed beings. Our senses are flawed, our beings are flawed. Mentally, we're not perfect. We make mistakes. And this is important in that we need to be aware of this, and we need to be accepting of this. These mistakes we make allow us to believe and teach and share things that are wrong, that we've learned that are wrong, and yet we still share them. This forgetfulness of our flawed nature actually causes us to, get angry when we're challenged, because we think we know what's right. We understand something a certain way, we know something a certain way, and if someone tells us differently, we get mad because we think we got the answers, and that's all there is to it. Being aware of how flawed you are, being imperfect that you are, you're prone to do things and act in a certain way. You will get mad when someone corrects you, and you won't even consider the possibility that you might be wrong. Well, I believe I am wrong. I believe I'm flawed, and most anything I have to say might probably be wrong. But I'm open to that. And that's what I think a lot of people would benefit from if they were open to the same idea. I'm also going to touch upon what it means to be perfect. Minor thing, not a big deal. Number 10, awareness. This is sort of the simplest of things. When I say awareness, it's going to touch mostly upon my awareness, our awareness, that we are affected by everybody around us. And in turn, we affect everybody around us. We are part of a larger organism, and that we can contribute in a positive or negative way. That's about it. The last one is more final thoughts. It's going to basically focus on the fact that I don't want anybody to sit back and accept what I say is true, because it's not. It's not something you should accept. You shouldn't accept anything as true. You should think about it first, debate it. And once you have, then you should be able to, well, make your own mind up and share it with someone else. But that being said, that's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to put on these videos at this time. Thank you for listening, and, well, have a good day.